So here we are, YouTube. I'm putting up this last video to kind of explain both of these systems and kind of what you're going to get in this price list. So I've got the price list taken care of. The price list is really designed to handle version 2.0, everything but the frame. It's going to get you all these components, so it's going to get your tubing in between your fittings. On both of these units, the one thing that I didn't include was the end piece for your back end of your unit after your water has been filtered, because it's going to depend on what kind of hose, or I'm sorry, what kind of pole that you guys are using, water-fed pole. I have adapted some of my water-fed poles over here. Some of them have a bigger blue, they have a bigger diameter, and some of them have a smaller diameter, some of them have quick couplers, and it all just depends on the system that we're using. So I'm going to leave this in piece up to you. You will get pure water flowing out of here, but you may have to put a reducer on there and a push fitting or a quick coupler or a garden hose that you can hook in here that you can attach to your hose further down the line, however you want to do that. So that part is going to be up to you on both of these systems on the end, because you can see on my other system it's a whole different setup here. So I have a push connect with a shutoff valve, and the shutoff valve really isn't necessary on the back end, although I think the guys do sometimes turn that off when they're using the pole. So you can design that however you want. The end piece will be up to you. The rest of it will all be included. None of these hoses on this more expensive system with the stainless steel fittings will be included. This will all be push connect brass fittings. I have gone through an entire pile of fittings, and you can see those over here. This is hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. I think this piece right here at 316 stainless steel, that was about a $95 part. I have used all kinds of systems. Plastic cheap ones, as I thought about those, push connects on plastic ones, different types of Teflon tape. Part of the components that I'm going to put in here on the parts list are going to include this thing. So if you already have a tube cutter from Parker, you probably don't need it. This isn't necessary, but it does make the job much easier when you're cutting your tubes down to size instead of using a pair of scissors or some sort of a utility blade. If you're confident with that, well then go ahead and throw this thing out. I prefer this blue Teflon tape, and I've also listed that on there. So if you have some of this around your house, obviously you won't need to order those parts. Again, we're more focused on this. So in this system, on this build, on this DIY, you are not going to get this aluminum frame unless you reach out to me directly. You will get the components, you will get everything that hooks together, you will have a system. You could have a front end hose piece that you could just lay down, honestly, on the concrete, and you could hook the tube to this piece. You could run them all in a line, you could just lay them there out sideways, and you could hook up each one of these pieces and even choose not to use a frame. If you want to use a dolly, I will talk about that in there, and we can talk about this. This is pretty simple. I just went to the hardware store, I bought a dolly. I took it to a welding company and I had them run a bar across here. It will require a couple other fittings, and I will add this. So if you want to go the dolly route, I will add what I did. So that will include things like, these will be optional, and it will say for the dolly route on there. We will talk about the brackets here that hold these two tubes. Maybe some things I would have done differently. I probably would have welded the plate on the front that these brackets connect to on the back side, just to bring the weight of the whole unit a little further back, because it is a little front heavy and it has a tendency to kind of want to rock forward. Well, if I could have pulled that back, to an inch, we may have been a little bit more back on the wheels, and it may have leveled this out. Now, it's never tipped over, but it's just one of those things that I could see that happening at some point. You may have connectors like this from ABC for your pole. So again, on these end pieces, you may want to just put something like that on the end and use their piece that connects to their pole, and it's a quick connector. There's all these different things. I put TDS meters on the parts list. If you already have TDS meters, obviously you don't need to order those. Those will be on the Amazon section. So I have a lot of different stuff. If you want to order an aluminum frame, I've got a guy here in Kansas City that'll make them. I'm having him make me 3 right now. They should be available next week, and I can come up with a price. We can talk about that via email or a phone call if you're interested in that. If you want to just figure out how to do the whole frame thing on your own, that's fine. It's going to come with the saddle brackets. These are on here, the saddle clamps, and you can mount it to your own thing. These are, you know, this is probably going to be a $300 frame. So if you guys are interested in that, I'm just telling you that I think right now the price is going to be a minimum of $300 because he's building them for over $200 for me. So for me to get them and then ship them and all that stuff, we're going to have to work out some sort of a deal. Am I going to have some of those frames? Yes. Can I make more? Yes. Could you also make that same frame? Yes. We can look at that. I mean, I think you could make your own. If you want to buy mine, it's fine. If you want to go to a guy and have a steel guy do it, this is the frame. I took in the saddle clamp. I took in the saddle clamp and I set them on there, and I just had them build me this thing, and then we took in the other blue filters and they matched up a hole and they put a plate on it. I mean, this is not super complicated. This one is steel. It was much heavier. It was kind of an initial prototype. The ones I make now are out of aluminum and they're much lighter. And they look a little better and they have pads on the bottom. So you're going to get 95% of the components, but there's going to be a couple things that you guys are going to have to figure out, which would be your end piece, your frame, whether you want to mount it to a dolly, whether you want to mount it to one of my frames, whether you want to build your own. It's all up to you. But in the end, you will have pure water flowing out of this thing. Do not make substitutions. Do not come over and say, well, I'm going to buy one of those cool fiberglass housings for my RO membrane because that looks cool. That's exactly what I did. I've worked with all these. But they're set in, and it's very difficult to get fittings to screw inside there. It's much better to use the ones that I recommended with the outside pieces. This is all out here. But we'll talk about all that on the videos. So I'm putting the video together to design this unit and build this unit, not another dolly one. The dolly was pretty simple. You can take that into a welding store. You can have somebody make a clamp. They just put a circular piece of steel on there. They cut that. I just bolted those two clamps together. I put a little duct tape around the unit to protect it. We have a top and bottom one, and you can run the same tubes that I'm mentioning in this one out of that one. You just may have to add an elbow or something to this because the connectors are going to want to go straight up and straight here. So you can probably bend that tubing and make that work, but with an addition of a 90-degree elbow on there, that will make that simpler. So anyway, parts list will be up. I'm going to post this on Patreon. The parts list is coming. It'll be on today, and I just wanted to run through this, exactly what you're getting. So look over the parts list. Call the guy at call Don. He's on the list. I have his number there, and I can't remember the name of the company, but anyway, Don's a super cool guy, and you want to call him and order those parts directly from him, because if there's some sales or some promotions, they don't post them on their website, and he can get you a discount. He's also going to get you a discount on your DI resin. So I think there's about a $10 to $15 price break, and that's one of the more expensive parts. So anyway, you can look at all the prices, the whole thing. It really came, once you start figuring DI resin and extra filters that come in the boxes, the whole thing, it did come to over $1,000. I think the Amazon price list was somewhere in there between $450 and $500, and probably about the same at some of the other places. So you know, it's $1,000 to $1,100, but that's going to get you extra filters. That's going to get you your grease for your O-rings. I mean, it's every part that I could think of, even footings down for your frame, your aluminum frame, if you want a little rubber footing on the bottom of that thing to kind of hold it up off the ground. That's all going to be included. So anyway, I thank you again for watching. The parts list is coming up, and I think that's it. Email with me if you have any questions, or you can give me a phone call. I think I put my number on there, so it's on one of the videos. And thank you.